Welcome to the Aledo Bearcats Coaches Show podcast, a presentation of Real Country 92.1 Hank FM. Live from Boo Rays in New Orleans and Hudson Oaks, the Aledo Bearcats Coaches Show podcast is brought to you by H5 Sports Barn in Aledo and Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth. And now, here's the voice of the Bearcats, Kevin Lonnquist.
And we welcome you to Boo Rays of New Orleans. I'm Kevin Lonnquist here for the Aledo Coaches Show podcast. And, of course, here in Hudson Oaks for this Boo Rays location. They have other locations in Lake Worth and Crowley. And we are also brought to you by our presenting sponsors in H5 Sports Barn in Aledo and Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth. Well, time to turn the page from football to basketball. We will be joined by girls associate head coach Tracy Elms and boys head coach Brian Blackburn in our first segment. They are sitting here right to my left, and so we'll get started with him in just a few moments. And then in our second segment, we will be joined on the girls' side, junior guard Brooklyn Dempsey, and for the boys, senior forward Ryan Gonzales. And so the boys are off to a 14-1 start, best start in school history. Don't even recognize this program after being around it for 19 years. But they play host to Wichita Falls Memorial on Tuesday. That's a 7:30 tip. The girls are 10-8. They have started District 5-5A play. Played a really good game against the district favorite on Brewer. Came up a little bit short last Friday. They have their bye again tomorrow. And then both these teams will be in action in District 5-5A play on Friday when they play host to Saginaw Chisholm Trail. The girls will go at 6 o'clock. The boys will go at 7:30. Then, after the Christmas holidays, we will be getting into some tournament action. The girls, boy, Donnie Potts, the head coach, and I'm sure Tracy Elms and the rest of these members are going to look at him and say, why did you do this to us? But they are in the Sandra Meadows Classic, the favored Duncanville tournament. That'll be December 27th and the 28th. The boys are going to be at the Bridgeport tournament on December 27th and December 28th. Happy to be joined by boys head basketball coach Brian Blackburn and varsity associate head coach Tracy Elms. Thanks for being with us today.
Of course.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, so let's talk a little bit, first of all, Tracy, since you all are getting into district play and you opened up again with the favorite Brewer, because last year Brewer won this district, really deep team that they've had there. But what did you all take out of that game against them? Because you pretty much fought them tooth and nail. They just kind of were able to pull away, it looked like, at the end. And so...
Yes, it's always a good matchup against Brewer. It's been that way since the girls were, even in middle school. So we always look forward to that game. They lost some of their big players last year, but they still have a really good guard and a really good forward. So we knew what to expect from them, and it just comes down to execution. And in the game, they hit a few more buckets than we did, but it was a tight game, and we're looking forward to having them in our gym. I think it'll be another good competition next time they come.
A debt to pay, as they always like to say. And so for you all, for this start, new leadership coach with Coach Potts and that sort of thing, what's been the biggest transition for everybody within the program, especially with the players just getting into a new voice, a new way of doing things, new offensive style, new defensive style?
Absolutely. I think, our defensive principles have pretty much stayed the same. There's just some terminology there, but overall, the girls were very prepared defensively. I think offensively, it's just learning a new offensive system. And so with that, that takes a little time to get comfortable with the system, to get comfortable with each other and the way that he is running it. But we're very fortunate to have Coach Otten Aledo and just his experience and what he brings to the basketball community. It's fun to be in the gym with him. He's very positive with the girls. He's got a really great basketball mind, and so I'm learning a lot. So it's been a really fun experience so far.
And, of course, Donnie not joining us tonight. He will be with us when we resume these podcasts in January. He's actually celebrating a birthday tonight. He had the nerve to walk out on us and go somewhere else to celebrate his birthday. But anyway, happy birthday to Coach Ott. Let's turn over to Brian Blackburn again, 14-1. The best start in this program's history. Brian, I want to ask you, just from your standpoint of when you got here, and we talked about this a few weeks ago when you and Donnie were here, but just coming over here and just building some momentum, because I think at the time when you were here, maybe you were about to play your second game.
Right.
And so what's been the biggest thing that you've seen in terms of just buy-in from this team? Because you don't go 14-1 without guys buying into what you're selling.
Yeah, no, I think the guys have been great in regards to the buy-in. I think it starts in our practices. So just the way that we practice, the guys really were ready to compete. And that kind of actually started during the summer. During our summer workouts, we started with competitive open gyms. And so whenever we just scrimmaged in open gym, we kept track of who won and by how much. And so we kind of set the tone early in regards to what we were going to measure And I think that really helped. And then when we started practices, the guys had some success with some of our fall basketball. I think we played about 18 games in the fall, whether it was fall league and fall tournaments. And they had some success against some good programs. And then whenever we won our first 2 games and we scored 80 points or plus in both of those games, I think the guys kind of like, okay, this is going to work. And then when they saw those results, I think it was easier for them to buy into our coaching staff. And it's been a lot of fun. We have a good mix of juniors and seniors and some good leadership. And I think that those guys kind of set the tone in regards to how we were going to practice. And then it's just carried over into the games. And now I think it's to a point where our players really believe that they're going to beat everybody we play. And I think that's an advantage that we have. I don't know if we'll go undefeated the rest of the season, but our guys, I do think that they expect to be competitive in every game that we play. And so as coaches, honestly, we kind of get to sit back and enjoy their competing. And so the games are going to be fun. The practices are kind of where we have to be mean and be tough and be competitive. But if they do that in practice, then the games get to be a lot of fun. And I think the guys have enjoyed it, our style of play, and then the fans have enjoyed it, and then I think the coaches are enjoying it as well.
Tracy, Brian brought up a good point about the fall league. So what was the thing that Coach Potts did in the fall to all get you ready for this season? Of course, he didn't duck anybody on this schedule, too. He really played some great programs, too, but that's what he wanted to. He wanted to build up what it was going to be like if you're going to be a championship program. And, of course, Donnie's been around that for a lot of his career. But if you're going to do that, you're going to have to take some lumps, perhaps. But what did you all take out of the fall, and how did he organize that fall?
Absolutely. So we had a really great fall. We were able to host at Aledo a fall league, getting to play live pan, Brock, Burleson, some really great competition. We had our volleyball players coaching for us so they could be part of the fall for us as well. And the girls really stepped out and competed. They played fast, and they played confident with each other. We're young. We have a pretty young squad overall, right, especially with our guard play.
Right.
And so that gave them an opportunity to step out as leaders without us on the sideline coaching them up and kind of taking initiative and ownership of the team a little bit. Okay.
Let's turn it back over to you here for a second, Brian, in terms of just going through the tournaments that you all had, because you were in Weatherford. I think you were at Burleson, but you can correct me on that. I think it was the Brock tournament.
So we were in Abilene.
Abilene, excuse me.
And then
okay.
We went to Weatherford this past week.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just when you play so many games in a compressed 2 to 3 day period, what's the thing that you're trying to get out of that? Because sometimes it can get so chaotic, if you will, in terms of just trying to manage your schedule, and you're just going game after game, and it kind of becomes muscle memory where you kind of get into this daze, if you will. So how do you try to manage your team through something like that? Because you want to get the games in, but you also don't want it to get lazy, sloppy, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I thought it was a tough stretch, and the guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but we had 10 games in 12 days, and so we went 9-1 in those 10 games. But I think the thing that is big to me is like a routine, some consistency. And so the things that were consistent for us is the guys were going to have a scouting report. They were going to be expected to watch some film. We were going to have a shoot around. And so you just kind of get in a routine, and then when the game starts, there is some familiarity with the opponent. I think sometimes during tournaments it's hard to do that. But because of the way our tournament schedule was, we were still able to get some familiarity with our opponent. And so kind of that routine was just consistent. I think the hardest part, and they can tell you if it's true or not, in the Weatherford tournament, we had 2 9 a.m. games back-to-back. So we played at 9 a.m. on Thursday, then we played 9 a.m. on Friday. And that was pretty tough because the motivation to play really hard defense at 9 a.m. on a Thursday morning is not always there. And so luckily we scored a lot of points and we ended up winning. But I think those were kind of the things that we tried to do to make it still the consistency. And the Weatherford tournament, we were able to just drive back and forth, obviously.
Right.
When we were in Abilene, we did spend the night. It was a big kind of team bonding opportunity for our squad. It was the first time we've all been away together. And we had some great meals. We stayed in a really nice hotel and just tried to have some fun along with competing against some really good teams.
Yeah, and Tracy, you all had a great run in the Burleson tournament, too, a couple weeks ago. I know you got to the championship game in that one, but just talk about what that experience was like, though, for your team.
Yes, the Burleson tournament was a lot of fun because we went out to Friendship, and that was a tough one, playing some of those panhandle teams, and we were down some players And so the Burleson tournament was a really good rebound tournament for us. We were able to have some success early the first 2 days going into the championship game and ended up playing a really great Prestonwood Christian team. And we lost that game, but we battled and we committed to some things that we'd been working on in practice. So we took that as a very good positive.
I want to ask you personally here, because you get to coach your daughter, Kinley. She just came back to you from the volleyball team, and we had Kinley on a couple weeks ago to celebrate the volleyball team's run to the state semifinals. She signed with Lamar to play volleyball down there, but you get to coach her. You've been able to do this for the last couple of years. What's that experience for a mom to be able to have that with her daughter?
I mean, honestly, when we first started and she was on varsity as a sophomore, it was a learning experience, not to take it home. So we kind of established some boundaries early on that we don't talk basketball once we leave the gym. And so that's fun. So, I get to yell at her as much as I want in the gym, and she takes that pretty hard. But then when we go home, I'm mom also. But, I mean, I think, when you get into coaching and your kids are little and you coach them in youth, it's always a dream to coach them at the high school level also. And so when she decided, she wanted to finish out her senior year and play with this team because she loves her teammates so much, and she wanted to play for Coach Ott, that was just icing on the cake for me.
Sure. Okay, so let's get into the district part of this because, again, District 5A play has begun. You all will play your second game on Friday. You all open up on Bryan the same day as we talked about. And the one thing I've always thought about the December portion of these district schedules is you don't win the district in December, obviously, but you can lose it, too, if you don't take this because it's kind of that weird 3-4 game stretch. Maybe it's 2. Typically it's 3, and then you play the balance of the schedule starting in early January. So how do you all kind of navigate these games, knowing because you've just come off this stretch of a huge number of non-district games, but then you've got a tournament over the holidays as well. And so how do you try and make sure that the focus is these are the ones that really count, and we're learning in the other ones? So, Brian, why don't you take that first?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is coming right back after Christmas and doing the tournament. So for us, it's better to kind of get the kinks out in the tournament rather than come back and just play a district game. And so, we have Chisholm Trail on the 20th, and they're favored to win the district.
Right.
And very talented team, and so we get them at home on Friday, which is great. And then we go to the tournament, and then after that we have 2 games, and they're like in the middle of the day. And so, I think it might be the day before New Year's and then the Friday after New Year's. And so it is a strange kind of schedule. But again, I'm hoping that some of the habits that we've built, even with our tournament schedule, with the scouting reports and watching film and kind of having our JV help us a little bit with preparation for district opponents, those things really help. So I'd much rather play a tournament right after Christmas and get everybody playing time and play some different people where we can fix some things before we have to jump right back into district play.
And how about for you, Tracy, and for Coach Ott?
I agree. I think this tournament will be really good for us just personally as a team. It's going to challenge us because we're playing some really great competition. But I think also we have a lot of girls that want to play at the next level, so this will kind of prepare them for that. And also, I don't think our district's really tough, and so we need that competition as we go into district, especially with the ball pressure that we're going to see, the speed of the game that we're going to see. So I think playing this tournament particularly will be really good, like Coach Blackburn said, getting a lot of those kinks out.
Sure. Okay, so in your tournament with in Bridgeport, who will you all face? Is it a bracket or is it a pool, or how will that work?
So it's a combination. So it's pool play to start. And so in our pool is Pascal, which they just went back down to 5A.
Right.
And then Lake Dallas, who usually has a pretty good program. And then after that, then we go into a bracket play. And so some of the other teams there, I know Fossil Ridge is from our district, but they're there. Bridgeport's the host. There's some few teams from Amarillo that are going to come down and play in that. And then there's, I think, one Lubbock school and then one school from the San Antonio area. And so it's going to be a good mix, some people that we wouldn't play otherwise. And so I think that's going to be really beneficial to us to see some different styles of play. And that'll kind of be helpful and get us ready for district when we come back.
Okay, and then Tracy, for you, who will you all see? How will the Duncanville tournament go? If you know that, I might have caught you out there.
I'm totally going to be honest. Like I know we played Chisholm on Friday, and I have no idea who we played first.
Right.
At the Duncanville tournament, I think that's just kind of our prep is just like
Zero focus. Let's make sure that we let's make sure that we take care of business against that team first.
Absolutely.
Because as you all have said, and as we've talked about, these games on Friday are the ones that are going to determine if you can play deep into February, that sort of thing. It's all about February, late February, maybe getting to March, that sort of thing. And so, a final question for both of you here, and I'll start with you on this, Brian. What do you want to see from your team over these next few games before you really get into the meat of the district schedule starting on New Year's Eve day?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is, like, who are we going to be when people scout us?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, what are we going to look like when people try to take away what we do best? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where the maturity and some of the experience that we've had so far hopefully helps. And so our job as coaches, maybe in practice over the next week or two, is just to make sure that, hey, this is what we think other people are going to do to us and try to take away. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of have to have some more counters to what we expect is going to happen. And so if we do that, that should give the guys some confidence, and then we'll be able to, hopefully kind of attack teams different ways.
Okay, and then for you, Tracy, what do you, Coach Ott, and everybody hope to see from this team before, again, the district season really gets going here in a few weeks?
Yeah, I think our girls we have yet to put a complete game together, which is good because you want to be playing your best basketball, later in the season. So for us, it's just continuing to execute the things that we're doing in practice, and every day they're getting better in practice, and that's been fun to see. And just the execution of what we're asking them. And I think when it all clicks, it's going to be really special.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to doing this as we continue. Once we get into the middle of January, again, this podcast will resume on January 13th. And so I want to thank Brian Blackburn and, of course, Tracy Elms, the associate head coach for the girls program, on this first segment here. And again, stick around here as we will have our second segment here in just a few moments with Brooklyn Dempsey and Ryan Gonzales. But first, this Aledo Coaches Show podcast is brought to you by H5 Sports Barn. H5 Sports Barn and Nye Physio and Performance can help unlock your athletic potential and elevate your game like the Aledo Bearcats. With expert sports physical therapy, tailored recovery plans, and top-notch sports performance training. H5 Sports Barn, proud supporters of the Aledo Bearcats. And Hiley Mazda. Head to Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth today. Their new state-of-the-art facility is conveniently located just off of I-30. Exit Las Vegas Trail and experience top-notch service and hassle-free buying. Don't forget to ask about this month's special offers. Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth, family owned and operated for more than 30 years. Stick around. The second segment of the podcast on its way. You're listening to the Coaches Show podcast here on Hank FM. Welcome back to the Aledo Coaches Show podcast, the basketball version, if you will. And remember, this is the final podcast of the Coaches Show podcast, at least through the end of the 2024 part of the 2024-2025 season. We will resume on January 13th, when both these basketball teams are going to be well into district play. We're happy to be joined on the girls' side. I would argue maybe the better athlete of the Dempsey crew. That would be guard Brooklyn Dempsey, better than the defensive end that's sitting over there on the table there. And then for the boys, the senior forward, I should say forward, Ryan Gonzales. Thanks for being with us. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this season here for you, because this has been a big change for you, of course, Brooklyn, in terms of just learning the varsity way of doing things. Just talk about what this experience has been like for you, just playing at the varsity level, 18 games, and just understanding the speed and everything else that comes with it.
It's been good. This is my second year of varsity, and last year was a little harder just because I was a freshman. I was younger, but I think this year's been way easier since it's my second year.
Is it just because, do you think that you understand the speed of the game more, the more of the ball pressure, just in terms of the physicalness of that, or how do you see it?
Yes, sir. That, yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit on the boys' side here with Ryan. Ryan, in terms of just getting used to Coach Blackburn, what's been the biggest thing for you guys to kind of understand what he's been asking? Obviously, the great start for you guys, but what's been the buy-in factor for you guys in order to help you get off to this quick start this year?
That we really just buy into him and trust the coaches and trust the process.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the offense. Just kind of give us an idea of how this offense works and what he wants to do with the guards and what he wants to do in the block, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a big, so we'll be on the corners, or we run a 5-out and we'll just run out of that. We won't run many plays, but for us bigs, we'll set screens and cut.
Okay, and then for you, I mean, is there a lot of catching in the low post for you, or how do they want you positioned around the basket, or do they let you pop out and that sort of thing?
They kind of want me rolling, so setting a pick and roll and going to the hoop, and then yes sir, posting up.
Okay, and then for you, Brooklyn, just in terms of just handling the ball, because you're one of the primary ball handlers for this offense, what's it been like just running this offense? What Coach Potts has been asking of you guys. What's been the greatest adjustment that you've made, basically from the season opener in early November to where you are now?
Yeah, this offense is way different than the one that we were running last year, and we've been running it since off season, and Is
it more movement, or is it more up and down, or how would you describe it?
Yeah, it's more structured than last year. Last year it was kind of just pass and cut, and this is like we have a bunch of other cutters, and it's more structured.
Okay. Has it been like working for the good shot, or is it like if it's the first available shot, or how would you describe that in terms of just when you guys are going to put it up?
This offense gives us a bunch of open looks and cuts and many options to score, and that's how it was different than last year's.
A lot of ball screens on that too as well?
Yes.
For sure?
Yeah, ball screens and back screens.
Okay. And then, Ryan, I want to get with you in terms of just Joaquin Pacheco, because he's off to a tremendous start. He's averaging over 23 points. He's one of the top scorers in the area. What's been his emergence like, just to watch him from where he was to where he is now here? It's a totally different player than what I even saw last year in a couple games.
Yes, sir. He's amazing. Like, I don't even know. He makes some crazy shots, and I'd be like, I don't know.
It's kind of like one of those feelings like, no, great shot, man.
Like, pass it, it's in, okay.
Gotcha on that. And so, let's talk about the district game for your opener last week against Brewer. What did you guys take from that? Because obviously Brewer was the defending district champions. You guys played him tooth and nail. Just came up a little bit short on this. But what did you take away from that game as far as, just learning a little bit more about yourselves, Brooklyn, in terms of just, okay, this is what it's going to take if we're going to, because we get them back here in our place maybe in January. But what did you get out of that game?
There was a lot of stuff to take away in practice. Today we came back and focused mainly on our offense, and we worked a lot on our offense, and I think took a big step in practice today to get better with that.
Okay. Anything more focused anything you can kind of get into specifically? We don't want to give away the secret sauce here, but anything specifically that you guys were working on?
We were looking more for our posts, and we have a big height advantage this year, and we were looking to get into them and how we could give it into them to score.
And you're off to a good scoring start this year, too, averaging about 8.5 points a game. Foul shooting's been really good, about 75%, probably better than him over there. And so,
probably.
And so, but just in terms of just your offensive game, what have you seen the biggest difference in terms of just your growth as an offensive player? It's confidence for sure.
Oh,
but what have you seen from that?
This year I think I'm more looking to drive, and I feel like I'm more aggressive on offense than last year. And I think that's been really good for me this year.
Okay, and then just talk about your offensive game here, too, as far as where you're at, Ryan. How do you feel like your game has changed offensively? And we'll get to your defensive here in just a second here, but where do you think it's changed offensively?
I feel like we ran a lot of more plays. This year it's more feel like you do your thing, kind of just set screens and play 5-on-5.
Okay, and then defensively, let's start with you about just where you think is it just – are you guys mostly man? Will you press, or how will you guys go defensively?
Yeah, we're more man. We were pressing a lot, but we're starting to just run man, and it's working a lot better for us.
Okay. And is there a lot of switching going on there too, or how do you guys do that?
We haven't been switching. We've just been going over everything or under.
Okay, gotcha. And then for you defensively, Brooklyn, what's been the key for you personally as far as the way you're playing defense this year?
Well, with the new coach, we learned a lot. We switched our defense a lot, but we've been mainly focusing on man and just keeping the defender in front of us.
Okay. Is it more of are you guys, I was going to say, is it mostly man? Have you all pressed much, or have you guys gone zone?
We do press. He's not really a fan of zone, but we do press and then just straight back into man.
Yeah, zone can be kind of boring. So
I love man. I don't like zone.
It makes you feel like you're more active and you're more going after it, that sort of thing. Okay. So the district season continues now. Of course, you get another game this coming Friday against Saginaw Chisholm Trail. And, of course, you guys have your bye tomorrow. So how do you guys want to build on over these next few days, Brooklyn, in terms of getting ready for the game against Chisholm Trail?
We've been watching a lot of film. We've been watching film on them every day and just preparing for them in practice.
Okay. Your district opener is, you will follow the girls about 7:30 on Friday night on this. Ryan, and again, Chisholm Trail is considered the district favorite in this, and so it's a great challenge, and that's what you guys want to see. What do you hope to learn from this game, and how do you all prepare for this game? Because you don't play anything this week, or no, excuse me, you have Wichita Falls Memorial tomorrow, but as far as just getting ready for that district game, what do you all want to see that? Because everyone seems to think that they're kind of the measuring stick until you prove otherwise.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to go out tomorrow, play our game, and then we'll be getting ready for district. And I feel like district the game will see if we're ready.
Okay. All right. And then the tournaments are coming up as well. Of course, you guys play a bunch of these games. Do you feel like when you've gone through these tournaments, you were out in West Texas, then you were over in Burleson, you've gone to a couple already, and then you guys have the tournaments over the holiday weekend. Do you kind of feel like when you're in these tournaments that your head is on a swivel because you're going from game to game, and it's kind of like you're robotic because I got to go from one game to the next game? What's that like for you to go through that, Brooklyn?
Yeah, it's for sure a lot, but playing 2 games a day is different than in district, but it's fun in the tournament.
Okay, and then for you guys, I mean, Coach Blackburn was talking about the 9 a.m. start, so how was that, just getting ready to go? Here was the great thing, too. You guys missed school, too. So you can make up your classes, with assignments and that sort of thing, but you got out of it for a couple of days. But just talk a little bit about, just going through those early starts and what you think you guys learned out of that, because that's not easy to get up early and then go play a basketball game at 9 a.m. back-to-back days, nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, a lot of us played AAU over summer and would have a lot of early games, so we were used to that. But going through the tournament, we realized as a team, we have to, we'll get tired and we have to just stay as a team and stay together. And not fall apart. And
then finally, I'm going to ask you about the fall leagues here that you guys went through, because Coach Elms and Coach Blackburn were talking about this. And so I'm going to start with you on this, Brooklyn. Just in terms of just the competition that you all played, how do you think that helped you get ready for what this season has been? Because there's been some real challenges that you all have faced during the early start of this season.
Yeah, fall league was good for us just because we're running different offense and defense. It really helped us prepare us for the season.
Anything specific, though, that you guys got out of it that you feel like, okay, we know that we can do this, and this is one thing we need to kind of work on a little bit more? Anything specific, asking it that way?
I feel like just running our offense. Our offense is kind of complex, and we were kind of confused at first, but it just helped us get more comfortable with it.
And then for you, Ryan, what did you think in terms of what that fall schedule like?
I feel like we were missing a couple people, played some bigger schools, and it really showed us that we have to grind to get where we want to be.
Okay, and you're getting a couple footballers back, too. You're getting Caden Finley, who's going to join you, and Cooper Hull will join you. What will those two mean for you guys?
That'll just add talent and skill for us when we're pressing. We'll need rotations, and they're there.
Okay, and then for you, Brooklyn, of course I lied too because I said that was my last question. Obviously it's not, but anyway, you're adding 2 volleyball players, 2 in Kinley Elms and, of course, Ella Isbell. What will those 2 mean for your roster moving forward?
They'll help us a lot. They add height to our roster, and they'll be good for us.
Okay, and that's kind of throw it into the low block there and kind of get the high percentage look and that sort of thing too. All right, has it been fun though? Are you guys having fun? I mean, that's the most important thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I want you all to give these 2 folks a big hand. Brooklyn Dempsey to my left, and then Ryan Gonzales to my far left here. And this reminder that the Aledo Coaches Show podcast is brought to you by H5 Sports Barn. H5 Sports Barn and iPhysio and Performance can help unlock your athletic potential and elevate your game like the Aledo Bearcats. With expert sports physical therapy, tailored recovery plans, and top-notch sports performance training, H5 Sports Barn, proud supporters of the Aledo Bearcats, and Hiley Mazda. Head to Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth today. Their new state-of-the-art facility is conveniently located off of I-30, exit Las Vegas Trail, and experience top-notch service and hassle-free buying. Don't forget to ask about this month's special offers. Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth, family owned and operated for more than 30 years. Again, a reminder that this Basketball Coaches Show podcast for Aledo High School will resume on January the 13th. The Bearcats and the Lady Cats will be in the middle of their district seasons, hoping that they are making the push to get into the playoffs, and we will cover it all the way through as far as their seasons last. And, of course, we're going to be biased in here saying we'd like to see that in March. What do you think about that? Would that work?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there we go. March it is. We'll see how it all goes. We thank you for joining us. I'm Kevin Lonnquist. Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We will talk to you all in January. So long for the Aledo Coaches Show podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Aledo Coaches Show podcast, brought to you by H5 Sports Barn in Aledo and Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth. With the voice of the Bearcats, Kevin Lonnquist. Please like and subscribe to this podcast and tell a friend. You're also welcome to join us every Monday night at 7 for Boo Rays of New Orleans and Hudson Oaks. It's the Aledo Coaches Show podcast, a presentation of Real Country 92.1 Hank FM.